Another comeback win. LA scored all their runs with 2 outs, and the bullpen was lights out as the Dodgers clinched the road series against the Reds. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It's time for Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. The boys in blue got another comeback win, this time fueled by 5 runs scored with 2 outs and the bullpen slamming the door shut after Tyler Glasnow left it wide open. Plus, another name has emerged as a potential trade deadline target for Los Angeles. We're talking about this in today's episode, which is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app. Create an account and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off of your first purchase. He's Travis Rodgers. I'm Harry Ruiz, two guys who talk sports for a living and bleed Dodger blue for life. If you're an early bird listener of our show, you can get more Travis on 710 ESPN LA or the ESPN LA app from 9 to noon with the Travis and DeMarco Show. As for me, I'm the Spanish play-by-play broadcaster for the Las Vegas Raiders and USC football. But nothing beats jumping on the mic every weekday morning and diving deep into what we love the most, which is talking Dodger baseball with you. An exciting, competitive game yesterday in Cincinnati, which fortunately, the main storyline is what the Dodgers did with 2 outs, because for a while it was Nick Lodolo mowing down the LA lineup with 11 strikeouts by himself. But once he was pulled out of the game, the Reds bullpen couldn't keep up, Travis.
Yeah, Lodolo, a local product, a Damien High School product. So always good to see a SoCal there in the big leagues. Yeah, look, the Dodgers did something that I don't think we've really seen a lot from them over the last, call it 3 weeks, 4 weeks or so, maybe the entire month of July, that they kind of grinded out a win and found a win in a game that they haven't been able to win in quite some time. Like you said, they got some big 2-out hits. They got some quality work out of the bullpen. Glasnow wasn't great, but he was okay. And then they just kind of put together, they did it on a night when Shohei Ohtani had a really rough night. So a whole bunch of things that usually lead you to, win. Shohei hit a couple of home runs, or your starting Yamamoto goes out there and shoves. Like, they've been kind of one-dimensional on, the dimension's been different night to night, but last night was a really positive development. I feel like they were behind in the later part of the game. They got a big hit from Will Smith to tie the game. They got another big hit from Will Smith to ultimately get the winning run across the plate. It was a really good night for them, because I had not seen that grinded out kind of pull one out of your back pocket win for this team in quite some time. It was a really nice to see.
And of course, winning cures everything. But does it worry you, Travis, that in 4 out of the 5 games in the current road trip, LA's opponents have gotten strikeouts into double digits? Because Dodgers batters were struck out 14 times yesterday. And that means half of the outs, or more than half of the outs, were via the strikeout, and 4 of them were from Shohei Ohtani. It's the first time Sho has been struck out in his first 4 plate appearances in a game over his major league career, and just the 6th time in the big leagues where he has been a 4-time victim of a strikeout in the same game.
Yeah, I'll be honest here. I'm curious to what you think. That last at-bat, that 5th at-bat that he had, where he just flipped that fly ball to right field. He had 2 strikes, and that felt it's rare. And I am a full Shohei Ohtani supporter. Everybody that listens to this pod, the everydayers, know how crazy I am about Shohei. But that felt very protective of, I do not want a 5 strikeout night. I'm just going to put my bat on the ball. I don't care what happens after that. But yeah, they strike out a lot. I don't like it. I think that baseball is, allow me a minute here on the soapbox as an old guy with a lot of gray in my beard. Let me talk about baseball before strikeouts weren't looked at as no big deal. You strike out 14 times in a game. Before, it's like, what in the world are they doing? And now you strike out 14. It's like, oh, what's the difference between a strikeout and flying out to center field? To me, there's a big difference. To me, if you put the ball in play, sometimes good stuff happens. Sometimes you see mistakes made. Sometimes when you got a lot of pressure on the defense, things kind of break your way. And walking back to the dugout, doesn't put a lot of pressure on the defense. I would love to see, I'm not saying that everybody needs to, bat, 270 with 4 home runs and not drive the ball, but 14 strikeouts is a ton. And when you get into the postseason, when you get into situations like last night where contact, base hits, the ability to move a guy along, the ability to make a productive out become more and more important. I understand over the course of 162 games, you want to hit doubles and home runs. I get it. But when you get into October, I don't need a double every time. Sometimes a ground ball to the right side of the field makes a big difference. Sometimes a fly ball to the outfield can make a big difference. So, yeah, it does bother me a little bit. It does concern me a little bit, the rate of strikeouts, because, they're highly unproductive outs. And I don't know what's going to be said in the comments, but I get it. I understand modern baseball. I understand that the 3 true outcomes, home run, walk, strikeout, I know what it is. I just don't like it. I think that there's still a way to be played with fewer strikeouts to be very good. And, they got a little lucky last night that you struck out so many times and still won a game without hitting home runs. It was those two things typically don't go together, but they pulled one out last night.
Yeah, and let's go with a quick recap of yesterday's game, because Tommy Edman, he clearly isn't at his best right now, yet he got a 2-run bomb in the second to open the scoring. And we have to send a big shout out to Michael Conforto, who I have criticized him,
sure.
and many others have done so as well. He took a walk in the 7th and in the 9th inning to get everything rolling. Will Smith and Freddie Freeman, they got RBI singles in the 7th to tie it up. Then Smith once again was clutch with an RBI double in the 9th to give LA the lead. 2 runs scored via the long ball early in the game. Then they were able to manufacture 3 more late in the game to win it. I love it when this team isn't home run dependent, when it's the only way that can score runs. And we go back to what you were talking about. Have productive outs. Just sometimes that's all you need. You have a man on second like they did Sunday with Miguel Rojas with no outs. What is it worth if you can't even move him to third base? Sometimes all you need is a long fly out and Miggy would make it a third, or a ground ball that the pitcher has to run towards. Yep. Miggy can get the third in that case. Over here yesterday, they manufactured runs. Michael Conforto, I almost said Miguel Conforto, which would have been his Spanish name.
Spanish name, yeah.
Yeah, Michael Conforto, he gets on base with walks, and they end up being 2 of the 5 runs the Dodgers end up scoring.
I'm glad you brought up Conforto, because he did the thing that makes a big, walks are useful. Walks can be beneficial. You get Outman in there to run for him in the late innings and a little bit more speed on the base. And I think you saw 2 guys that, we'll see what it looks like in October, Harry, but 2 guys that really don't have a guaranteed role going into the postseason, both contributing to win a game. That Conforto does it with his eye, Outman does it with his legs, and they're starting to put together a little bit of something out there that maybe can be useful along the way. Going back to Edman's homer, and like you said, clearly he's not the healthy player that we would hope that he's going to be as we get closer to the end. But those are the home runs to me that are like I don't want to say fine, but like Tommy Edman just running into one, that's cool. Like, fine. Shohei Ohtani hitting his 50, cool. Like Max Muncy hitting his 30, cool. But it's when everybody in the lineup is up there sitting and spinning on every pitch that it gets a little like, hey, what are we doing here? We need to be a little bit more strategic. But yeah, I really do think that you got a good look at a team that pretty much used every facet of their team, from their bench players to their star players like Freeman and Smith to, the bullpen to the state. Again, Glasnow wasn't great, but he wasn't terrible either. Like, if that's a bad outing for him, it was really one pitch that kind of changed the game a little bit. If that's the downside to him, I'll take that all day long, because it was still halfway decent. I was pleased with what we saw last night.
I mean, traffic on the bases in every inning except the first and the 8th. That's great. Now we need them to be more consistent to send the bullpen out to the mound without a lot of pressure, which is what happened on Tuesday. And despite that, they delivered. Next on Locked On Dodgers, the bullpen has been a huge storyline ahead of the trade deadline, and it's refreshing to talk about them having a dominant outing. We've all been there, logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot in line for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Gametime comes in. Gametime makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. With Gametime, the price you see is the price you pay. No hidden fees. Take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off of your first order. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB. That's LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Don't forget to follow Locked On Dodgers not only on YouTube, but on X, Instagram, and TikTok as well. You can find Travis on social media at Travis Rodgers on X and Instagram. Meanwhile, I'm at Harry Ruiz on X, at Harry_Ruiz on Instagram, and at Harry Ruiz_ on TikTok. Let us know if you think the bullpen having success Tuesday in Cincinnati is due to Kirby Yates and Tanner Scott not being out there, or if that's mere coincidence. Tyler Glasnow was good for 3 innings, getting lucky when he needed it the most by getting double plays to get out of the second and third innings. But with his pitch count increasing, he lost control in the 4th and 5th. He left 2 pitches right in the middle of the strike zone, and major league hitters will take advantage of opportunities like that. Glasnow got taken out of the game with the bases loaded and no outs in the 5th, and somehow, Travis, only one of those runners scored, and the bullpen, man, they were lights out. 2 hits, no runs allowed, and this one's your favorite, Travis. No walks without any high-price reliever on the mound.
Yeah, look, you see, Harry, we're getting to know each other here a little bit. This is exciting. You know how I feel about walks. You know how I feel about walks out of the bullpen. You can live with hits. Like they're like you just said a second ago. Major league hitters are going to get some hits. They're really good at what they do too. They make a lot of money to get hits. Don't give them free passes. Don't put them on base without having to do the hardest thing there is to do in sports, which is hit a major league pitcher. So let's make them work for it. That's exactly what the Dodger pitchers did yesterday. And I like what you mentioned as well. They really minimized the damage in what could have been a catastrophe inning. It was hey, you get out of there with just the 1 run. That feels pretty good. That feels like a win in a situation like that, where you got that many guys on base, so few outs, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're only giving up 1. I always like pitchers that kind of come in and say, like, if you can strike out the side and get out of there with nothing, great. If you can get a strikeout and a double play and get out of there with nothing, great. But if you can get out of there with that guy on third base coming in, but nobody else comes in, that's great too. And the bullpen really seems to be coming together. I like what you asked there about, is this a function of Tanner Scott and Kirby Yates not being in the mix, or is it a coincidence? I think it's probably a little bit of both. I still think those guys are going to have to be pretty good if the Dodgers are going to go win the World Series. I don't think that 2 all-star caliber players that you added to your roster can be non-factors and feel really good about it. I mean, I guess it's possible, but I still hold out pretty high hopes for Tanner Scott. I still think that if he can get healthy, if he can get his location under control, he'll be a better guy. I'm a little less confident with Yates. He's just an older player, and it really hasn't come together with him too much this season. But just, having guys that are kind of feeling it. We saw Alex Vezina in the 9th inning last night. I think we talked about that yesterday. This is why you got to be an everydayer, so you never miss any of this stuff.
Dave Roberts heard us.
Yeah, right. And he came in there and he was great. And it was more of a function of, he was the guy that was going to go because you didn't know if you're going to score in the top of the 9th inning, but he was game, man. He showed up and he was terrific. And you and I both are really high on Vezina, and he's been terrific for the Dodgers all season long. And he got an opportunity, and another guy that is not your normal 9th inning guy. We've seen him, we've seen Dreyer, we've seen Kasperius kind of come in with some high stakes, and all 3 of them come through. It's great.
And one thing I love about Vezina is that you see that passion, you see that intensity, no matter if it's the 9th inning or the 6th or the 7th or the 8th, whenever he's out there and he gets an out, you see that passion out of him. And heck, that's the passion you see out of the fans in the left field pavilion and the right field pavilion, at the top deck, at reserve level, all around Dodger Stadium when a big play happens. And it's like, hey, he's one of us. Leave him out there on the field during those big moments and keep delivering. And also, the best part is, Travis, that this didn't happen against the bottom feeder team like the White Sox or the Rockies. This performance went down against a team with a winning record, a team just 3 games back from a playoff spot, a team that's competing instead of just figuring out who they're going to be trading by tomorrow. And has been something challenging for the Dodgers this month since the sweep at the hands of the Astros, going against winning teams, and the Dodgers did it against the Reds. So there was somebody in the comments section yesterday of a YouTube short I posted after the game, and he said, concerned they can't beat the good teams. I'm like, my man, they got a winning record. The Reds do, and they're at home, and they had the advantage, and the Dodgers were able to get that win, a tight win, a contested win, and you get out of there with the series win now.
Yeah, look, I understand the concern of we're not beating the good teams, but I don't know if that's entirely true. And again, you don't have to beat the air quote good teams, sweep them. You got to win one more time than you lose. And there's not a team in baseball that I think the Dodgers can go play against where they can't win a best of 5 series, where they can't win a best of 7 series. I know they're 0-6 against Milwaukee this year. If they played tomorrow, or certainly if they play in October and they're going best of 7, I'm not picking against the Dodgers. I don't care how many times they beat them during the regular season. That doesn't, translate 1-to-1 exactly. But yeah, I mean, look, they needed to win a series. They needed to win a series against a team that is above 500. They needed to start to feel good about where they are as a baseball team. And it's a weird deal because when you have a squad that has as many great players as the Dodgers do, when you have a squad that has as many veteran players as you do, and you just look around, and Mookie and Freddie and Ohtani and Will Smith and Teoscar Hernandez and, quite frankly, Michael Conforto, these guys have been around a long time. These are not young players, and they know that the season ebbs and flows like that. That being said, when nothing's going right, even a veteran player that's been around a long time starts to think, man, when is this going to turn? When are we going to come out of this? And it looks like they're finally starting to come out of it a little bit. That winning a series, look, go down to Tampa, win another series, come back to LA after the 9-game road trip, winning 2 of these 3 series. That would be a really nice trip. It'd be a nice way to head into August and kind of that last dog day month before you get to September where you start to crank it up again. I'd love to see them beat the Brewers. I'd love to see them beat the Cubs and the Mets, but they're going to be all right. I really, truly believe that. They just need to start looking like themselves, and you do that by beating whoever is in front of you, and last night that was the Reds.
Circling back with the bullpen, how cool was it that this performance happened with the following guys? Jack Dreyer, undrafted free agent signed by LA in 2021. Ben Kasparius, the 5th-round draft pick by the Dodgers that same year. Anthony Banda, who is in his 8th team since making his big league debut 9 years ago. Alexis Diaz, who was, yes, an all-star in 2023, but was in the minor leagues when the Dodgers traded for him in late May. And, of course, Alex Vesia, who the Dodgers traded for after he only pitched 4 1/3 innings with the Marlins after making his debut. Heck, the highest paid guy out of the bullpen yesterday was a guy the Dodgers traded for 2 months ago, and Alexis Diaz. Yeah. So like you say all the time, Travis, you don't know what you're going to get out of relief pitchers. You can spend $72 million on a Tanner Scott and he doesn't work. And then you get these guys that pitched yesterday, and between the 5 of them, you don't even get to 1 year of Tanner Scott.
No, it's there's 2 things in baseball that if you could crack the code on this, you would be, Jeff Bezos or whoever the richest guy in the world is. If you could figure out a way to not get pitchers hurt, forget it. You're off and running. Number 2 is, and this feels like a more crackable code, only it hasn't happened in a million years. Which relief pitcher is going to be good next year? Which relief pitcher is actually onto something that's going to stick, and which guy is onto something that will fade away? Because like you just said, and I think there's 2, the Dodgers have an example of both of these things. They made a trade for Alex Vesia, who was like okay, they got some guy from the Marlins, whatever. And they kind of threw him out there, and he was okay. And then he's a little better, and he's a little better, and then he's a little better. And now all of a sudden he's like, hey, this is our guy. And it's not just for one season, but it's been multiple seasons where Alex Vesia, his performance has been pretty consistent. And you've got a guy in Alex Vesia. There's Tanner Scott, who's making all-star games and getting a 4-year, $70 million deal, who's like, okay, this is an all-star. He's coming in. He's going to be great. He hasn't been great. You never know what you're going to get out of the bullpen. That's why I think every season when it starts, it's, okay, this is what we're starting with, but that bullpen will be different in the middle of the season. And I would bet just about everything I have that by the end of the season, it's a totally different group. And if not necessarily a totally different group, guys in totally different roles. And I think that's what we're going to see as we get closer to the end. But look, nobody wins the World Series without a good bullpen. Nobody gets a nice deep playoff run without a good bullpen, and they still 2 months to figure it all out, and I think that they will.
Now, the big question for the front office who's working against the clock regarding the trade deadline is, are they comfortable rolling with these guys the rest of the way? And coming up on Locked On Dodgers, we bring you the latest regarding players the Dodgers reportedly have interest to strike a deal for before time runs up tomorrow.
It's time to fuel up and turn it up with 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. Oh my goodness, let's go. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, my hands in the air, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. So whether you're sinking birdies or just hanging out and making memories with your friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game, right? And you've been out there on that golf course. I love to play golf, right? I'm out there all the time. And sometimes in that middle of that round, you can get that little bit of a dip, right? And all of a sudden, somebody will hit that great shot and everybody's fired up all over again. You've seen the ridiculous 1 foot in the lake shot, some guy trying to hit it between rocks or over a tree. It's all about the good times with good people and good flavors, of course. And the grape, ginger, lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down that beverage cart, which, let's be honest, can be hard to find sometimes. So if you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that is the number 5, ourenergy.com. You can use the promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off of your first order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. So whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion flavored 5 Hour Energy shots today.
Thanks for making us your first listen wherever you may be tuning in, either on your favorite podcast app or on our YouTube channel. Smash that notification bell so you never miss a beat. Full episodes, hot takes, breaking Dodgers news, and the Dodgers postcast show with Pete Fox live immediately after the final out of every game. If it drops, you're on it. That's how you become an everydayer here on Locked On Dodgers, like Jeff, who I consistently see during the premiere of our YouTube episodes. So shout out to you, Jeff.
Good job, Jeff.
Before we dive deep into the players the Dodgers might potentially be trading for, quick roster updates for the Dodgers. First off, Alex Freeland has been officially called up, and he could be making his big league debut today. He took Ha-Seong Kim's place on the roster after Kim was placed on the 10-day IL with shoulder bursitis. Meanwhile, Max Muncy went 0-for-3 with 2 strikeouts in his rehab assignment, his first day of it, with the OKC Comets in Triple-A ball. Not worried about it. Just his first game, just getting his feet wet, getting ready to come back to the big league soon, but just quick updates in those 2 fronts.
Yeah, like you said, Harry, I think the Muncy thing is he could hit 3 home runs and be like, yeah, I don't care. He could strike out 3 times. The only thing I care about him in a rehab assignment is how does the knee feel? And if the answer is the knee feels good after playing for the first time in a while, then all's good. That's a successful return to action. Let's see what it looks like a couple more times. But I really don't care what the performance looks like. I care what the trainer says afterwards, what he says afterwards. And if he's healthy, that's great news for the Dodgers, and really exciting to see Freeland too. And hopefully Kim gets back before too long. And maybe it's a shoulder thing. Maybe it's a high major league fastball thing that he's struggling with. It could be a little bit of both. And he gets that squared away and comes back, because he does a lot of things that I think could be useful in the postseason. The way that he can run, the fact that you can put him defensively in as many different positions as you can is a player that you'd like to have for big time games. He doesn't necessarily have to hit a ton, but can you run? Can you play 5 different spots on the field? And maybe for Kim, it may be closer to 6. That's really good news.
Exactly. Now coming over to wrap up the show, talking about trade deadline, because this happens tomorrow. We're very close to that time. Fabian Ardaya from The Athletic is reporting that the Dodgers are interested in Rays reliever Pete Fairbanks, who has 18 saves and 21 opportunities and a 2.75 ERA, has only allowed 1 home run this year. That's a great number after what we've seen with the guys that were brought into that bullpen this year. It's an interesting name who isn't making as many waves as other high leverage relievers. But at this point, Travis, if a reliever is on the market, more than likely the Dodgers name will be attached to them as interested. And that's the case right now.
Yeah, I think so. I think this is kind of the shotgun as opposed to the rifle approach, right? That they're going to take and say this guy, this guy, this guy. Let's try to find one or two that can, think Michael Kopech, right? That when they got Michael, it's like, yeah, okay, fine. We'll see what it is. And all of a sudden, he's real important. So I wouldn't be stunned if they acquired not just one, but more than one relief pitcher and hope to find one in that group that could be one of those guys that eat some innings in the postseason. And I keep coming back to this. You're going to need your bullpen to get you to the finish line. And I still, even though the race has tightened up a little bit, I still don't see a scenario where the Dodgers are in a knockdown, drag-out fight to win the division down to the last day of the season. That being said, you're going to have to use your relief pitchers. But once you do get into the postseason, I think it becomes far less important that those guys that pitch the fifth and sixth inning in a random game, those guys aren't going to pitch much anymore. You're going to have guys like Robleski pitching those innings. You're gonna have starters that are converting into middle guys as we get deeper into it, and you're gonna lean much harder on the guys you trust, the Kasperiuses, the Bondas, the Dryers, the Vezias, and then one or two guys at the back end. Maybe it's Gratterall, maybe it's Trinan is back now, but you need fewer options the closer we get to the finish line.
Yeah, and talking about this case with the Tampa Bay Rays reliever, the question is, are the Rays 100% a seller or not?
Yeah.
They're 3 games back from the final wild card spot. They already traded Danny Jensen to Milwaukee and then ended up acquiring Nick Fortes from the Miami Marlins. So pretty much sent a catcher away, got a catcher back. Are they going to be selling or not? And the interesting thing about Tampa, of course, we got those links between Friedman and the Tampa Bay Rays organization. The Athletic published a report a couple of hours ago where they posted Rays and Dodgers are the only team pair who have completed 7 trades from 2020 until now between them. So they have a good connection between these two organizations. And if there's a team that might make a trade for a reliever and that we might not have to break the bank for, it could be the Rays.
Yeah, they're it's like anything else. There are people you are comfortable doing business with, more comfortable doing business with, and the Dodgers and the Rays have clearly been comfortable doing business with each other. I still think they probably know each other's organizations pretty well for all the history that you mentioned. But I don't think that the Dodgers will be limited to this team or that team because of a pod. They're going to look. The only team that really feels like there's no action to be done is with the Angels, and that's an Angel problem more than it is a Dodger problem. The Dodgers are a smart organization that are just looking to make a deal to make their team better. And the Angels are a team that is, well, we can't give them to them. I've never understood why not? If you think what you're getting in return helps your team, who cares who is on the other end? So I think the Dodgers will be looking everywhere. I think they'll be looking under every rock. If it's Fairbanks, if it's, a Bednar, if it's a Helsley, if it's a Jax, a Duran in Minnesota, there's a whole bunch of names out there. I think they're going to get their hands on one or two of them. And like I said before, you don't need all of them to hit. You need one of them to hit in a meaningful way. And all of a sudden that bullpen gets a lot tighter.
I think they'd be in a better spot if they had Mickey Mouse as their general manager, and he would make better decisions than their current front office. Or maybe it's somebody ahead above the front office saying, no, don't make moves with the Dodgers, which could be the case. One more name linked to the Dodgers hunt for reliever is Ryan Helsley, who has 21 saves this year as a closer for the Cardinals, and the Cardinals are coming to Dodger Stadium next week, so that would be an interesting link up. And I mean, we're also talking about the Rays reliever Pete Fairbanks. The Dodgers play the Rays in this weekend in Tampa Bay, in the Yankees AAA stadium. That would be a big move for him, going from playing in a AAA ballpark as a home ballpark to playing at Dodger Stadium every home game. But like I said, every name, if you're a reliever, if you're on the market, you're going to be linked to the Dodgers at one point or the other.
Yeah, Helsley's an interesting one because there's still some team control there, right? So I believe there's 2 more years after this year of team control, which means the price goes up, right? If I can make a deal at the deadline for a guy that walks out the door, like think Dustin May, but the other way, like Dustin May would be attractive to a lot of teams, but they're not going to pay an arm and a leg because he's a free agent at the end of the year. I'm going to have to pay an arm and a leg again to do it. So the price goes down accordingly. Helsley's a guy with a little bit more team control, so the price is going to go up. He's a very effective guy. And Yeah, so I'm really interested there. Bednar is another one that I'm interested in. And the two guys in Minnesota, very interesting as well, Jax and Duran. But yeah, you mentioned it, Harry. It's always a trip to me when a guy literally walks across the. I think we saw it in Boston and Toronto the other night, or no, it was Sir Anthony Dominguez, the Orioles, where he was playing against Baltimore and literally Baltimore to Toronto, and literally just walked across the hallway to the other team. That's always a weird moment along the way. So yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that anybody gets traded to the Dodgers is anything other than thrilled, because you're going to play in some really important games. You're going to make the playoffs. You might make the World Series. You might win the World Series. So I would imagine that's a pretty exciting destination. That's not being told you're going to Colorado or Miami.
Or even guys that were just on the team with the Dodgers for 3, 4, or less days. They count as a guy that can get a ring at the end of the season if the Dodgers win the World Series. So that's exciting times. I mean, or even for somebody like us, we don't broadcast the games, but we get to talk about the Dodgers every single weekday. And it's exciting to talk about a franchise like this that is trying to win every single year, and being a fan of them, of course.
No doubt. Look, winning's fun, man. It's really fun. I mean, you know that we are working with the Raiders. When the Raiders are good, everything's better. When SC's good, everything's better. When the Dodgers have been good for, what are we talking now, 12, 13 years in a row? It's better when you win. It's more fun. It's more interesting. Your team is aggressive. You're trying to acquire players as opposed to, and I get it. It happens to every team at some point, but hey, this guy might be good in 3 years. Okay. That's 3 years from now. What do I care? It's being good today, tomorrow that's the most exciting point, and that's where they are.
Exactly, and we'll leave it at that. That'll do it for today's show from Travis and I. Thanks for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen. If you're still craving more baseball talk, have the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night be your second listen. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find it on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And also catch Pete Fox after every Dodgers game on our YouTube channel with his live postcast. We'll be back on Thursday to talk about the series finale in Cincinnati, where the Dodgers are going for their first sweep since they opened the month of July by taking the broom out on the White Sox. Travis, we need you to do it again to guarantee a win. What's your prediction for today's game against the Reds?
No chance. They lose by 100.
Fantastic. I'll take it, because if you're an everydayer, you understand the joke. If not, go and check out yesterday's episode. We appreciate you riding with us. Until next time, keep it real. Keep it Dodger Blue.